Hi there. Welcome to The PrevenTable, the podcast giving you a seat at the table with conversations about the intersection of alcohol, drugs, and mental health in everyday lives. Take a seat and join us.
Welcome to The PrevenTable. Today, we have a very dynamic duo with us. We have Audrey and Abby, two sisters who are connected to Prevent+Ed, mainly through Audrey, who, if you have been following our social media or other information on Prevent+Ed, you have firsthand witnessed the wonderful work Audrey does and probably have seen her face on TikTok and in other places. So Audrey really helps with our social media and our communication efforts. And then her sister Abby is also joining us. And Audrey and Abby, we're going to talk about many different things about kind of what life is like in college, what the alcohol and substance use scene is looking like these days from your perspective. But before we dive into any of that, do you all want to say hi and introduce yourselves?
Sure. You want me to start?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I'm Audrey. Like Jenny said, I work at Prevent+Ed. I'm our communications strategist. I started full-time. I just had my anniversary, actually, like July 1st.
Nice, yes.
I started that last year, and then I've actually been with Prevent+Ed since 2022 as an intern. So, yeah, now I'm finally on the other side of the podcast.
I know. How does that seat feel?
It's interesting. I'm not excited to hear my voice back later. But
I
okay.
feel that.
Yeah.
Same every time we record. Yeah.
I'm Abby. I'm Audrey's little sister. I go to Mizzou. I'm a rising junior, and I'm majoring in strat-comm journalism, so definitely following her footsteps in that. I'm in Greek life there. I also work at a bar, so I have a lot of experience around, substance alcohol use and that sort of thing. So,
all right. Well, I guess before we kind of get to, the topic is at hand, you both went to or going to Mizzou. So what attracted you to that kind of college atmosphere or that environment?
Well, I would say I went mostly because of the journalism program. It's like one of the best in the country, and I only applied to 3 schools, so I think it was just kind of when I went and toured, I really liked what they had to say. They seemed to be very they had a lot of connections and just seemed like I'd get a lot of great opportunities. I actually didn't want to be that close to home, but it turned out to be a great thing. And I did want to go to a bigger school, just knowing I like to be in that bigger social setting. I like to kind of blend in. So it's nice when there's that many people around. And yeah, that had to do mostly with my choice there.
I would say it was pretty much the same for me. It's a very renowned J school, and it's just in our backyard pretty much. So that was a big factor for sure. And just the whole SEC experience, football games, tailgates, and I like being kind of close to home, but not too far, so I can travel home on the weekends. And it's kind of familiar. I had people from my high school go there, but I also met all these people from other states, so it was definitely a perfect fit.
Yeah, I mean, it's been many, many years since I was in college, but I had a lot of friends that went to Mizzou too, and really echoed that same. It's far enough away where, your parents aren't just going to randomly knock on your door, but close enough that, you can visit, they can visit, or you can, get to other places. And also, a lot of people from the St. Louis area do attend Mizzou, but it is people from all over the world, really. So yeah, kind of that blend of a lot of different compromises that people are looking for in that university setting. So, because like I said, it's been a while since I've been in college, so I can recall what some of the going out scene or what people did for fun and relate it to even substances and how that happened a long time ago. But I'd love to hear from you all. Kind of let's start from the beginning. If you can remember, in your freshman year as you were going to attend, did you have education and information presented to you about risks of alcohol use and those kind of things on campus?
Let me think about this real quick. I would say going into the school year, there was definitely a few presentations that I had to go to, but it was mostly through like Greek life, just because of there's been like hazing incidents with the fraternities.
Yes.
So it was mostly directed towards that aspect. But I feel like definitely in high school they set us up for success. There was definitely lots of informational sessions just regarding alcohol and like how to be safe with it and making the right decisions and everything.
Excellent. And Audrey, did you go through Greek life as well?
I didn't.
Okay.
So we definitely have different experiences there. And when I was a freshman, when I started, that was 2020. So it was COVID. So the social scene was a lot different. Bars closed at like 9 or 10 p.m. There wasn't really like anything to do. So I wasn't really anticipating having to like navigate that very much freshman year. And, you know, we did definitely have like required trainings that all the freshmen have to go through just about alcohol safety. But we did have NCADA come into our high school. I remember, I think it was Allie who actually came to my health class,
So
like freshman year.
NCADA was the former name of Prevent+Ed for any listeners that haven't been around that long. So we changed our name in 2019, 2020 really. So yeah, it would have been NCADA when you were in high school.
I remember that too.
Having some of that education in high school definitely, like you said, Abby, hopefully plants those seeds and help people when they get into different environments, like recognize some risks or some other, you know, ways to make sure that we're staying healthy.
Yes, for sure.
All right. So when so thinking about, you know, that college kind of scene then, what are people's attitudes around alcohol? Is it, you know, because I hear and I read mixed things, right? But I know I'm not there and I shouldn't be there and I don't want to be there. But but you know, I'm hearing like different feedback in some ways that like, you know, Gen Z, right? Yeah, Gen Z or people your age, you know, are kind of turning away from alcohol and not like seeing as much appeal to it as maybe there once was. And I'm hearing maybe there's more appeal to other substances. But then I'm also hearing that, you know, a lot of people are still really misusing alcohol and really like that is kind of the recreational thing that happens still. So what's kind of happening on the ground?
I would say it's kind of mixed and it depends a lot on like your environment and the social group that you have around you. For me, I think like binge drinking in college was like the most normalized thing that I saw, and people were aware of the risks, and so it wasn't necessarily a matter of like they didn't have that education, but it's just kind of like what everyone does, so they assume they have to do it too. So it's mostly just like going out on weekends and having like way too many
excessive amounts of alcohol,
and then the rest of the week, you know, you're busy studying and stuff, or maybe you go out multiple nights if you're feeling it. But yeah, definitely binge drinking is kind of like the norm in college. But yeah, there's definitely like other substances too. I know with like my friend group and like a lot of just like what I saw, people use cannabis a lot too. And our generation was like the first, I feel like, they got exposed to vaping, and that was like something that happened in high school, but I didn't really experience that much with my friends.
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of vaping that happens. Like, I'd say like 3 out of the 5 people I meet vape, which is a pretty high number, I'd say.
Yeah, that is.
Definitely binge drinking. I feel like that's very normalized these days, but it's more of just like a social sense, like of FOMO, like you want to go out because you don't want to miss out. And then like, oh, like, why aren't you drinking? Like, these people like want you to have fun with them, so it's just like kind of a YOLO mindset too. Like, you're only in college for 4 years, so people just like, you're like, oh, okay, let's do this, like, you're only here for so long, like, time to make memories. And I feel like it's definitely just very normalized, especially underage drinking. And I feel like, honestly, a lot of the times once people turn 21, they already are like having a shifted mindset towards like going sober,
right? Or they feel like, I don't know, I don't want to put thoughts or words in people, but maybe they feel like, well, they've experienced that, so now like
exactly,
I've turned 21, okay, now I don't need to experience that anymore.
Definitely.
People overdo it by the time they're 21, and so it's like they're not necessarily done with it, but I feel like they even get that like party phase out of them before they're of legal age, which is kind of insane. But yeah, I would agree with what you said for the most part.
I'm trying to think.
So I know, another part of prevention a lot of times is obviously looking at the reality of it, and that people use alcohol and people under the age of 21 use alcohol, and we're not going to pretend like it's just not happening, right? But also the reality of it is that not everyone is drinking. So I know, Abby, you mentioned even when people are out because they don't want to miss out and they want to hang out with friends, but maybe they're not drinking, sometimes there is a little bit oh, hey, just have a drink, or why aren't you drinking? Have you seen any, I don't know if the right word, shifts or kind of experiences of people just being no, I don't want to drink, but still being able to just kind of be? Or do they typically maybe choose to be in different settings than bars if there's somebody that is just going to not use alcohol?
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely been more scenarios as I've gotten older of people who are just I'm just going to go out, but I'm not going to drink. And I feel like as we've matured, people are okay, that's fine. I understand. Especially when they can still just have fun,
Yeah.
It's not you have to drink to have fun, obviously, but it's nice also just having someone there who's sober and can control everyone. I'd also say working at a bar, I see that a lot as well. You can there's definitely always one or two in a group who's way more relaxed, not drinking than the rest of the group.
Yeah, I think probably because of prevention in a way, but I think our generation has a better understanding of risk factors and kind of understanding what alcohol use disorder or substance use disorder looks like, and so they're more comfortable maybe saying I don't ever want to drink, I have a family history of that. I've met people where that's the case, or I've also met people where they're 23 years old and they don't plan to ever drink again because they recognized early on that they didn't have a good relationship with alcohol. Which I feel is definitely because of prevention education, we've been able to kind of learn that from a younger age compared to other generations.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing we hear, again, the whoever we are, right? But that's often said is, there's some of the rite of passage, especially in the college scene, and there's also, maybe some amounts of not wanting to miss out and wanting to be around, but then that there's also really more of a movement just around wellness in general. And so, people that might be athletes or might be, concerned about health or into different fitness things or, meditation and relaxation and really in tune with their bodies may choose that they don't want to use alcohol for those reasons. You're nodding, yeah. But so tell me about that. Is that also happening? Do you see that happening too a little bit?
Yeah, I think that people also are understanding that alcohol has health effects besides just the fact that, you can have a bad relationship with it. It's not good for you either. It affects your brain and it affects your body. And I think just being aware of that fact is really good because then they can make more of a conscious decision on whether they want to use it. But I mean, I know for me, I grew up playing soccer, and so that was always my biggest mindset is I was not really into all that in high school just because, one, I was told you're not gonna, college coaches are gonna catch you, you're gonna get in trouble, don't ever be around that. But also it's just not good for you, it's gonna affect your performance. I didn't end up wanting to play in college, so it didn't matter. But yeah, I think that's definitely still true. People kind of are realizing it's not great for your body or your brain either. Right. So if you're wanting to live that healthy lifestyle, it's maybe something you want to try and moderate more or not consume.
Yeah, I would say I definitely agree. I feel I haven't really seen it firsthand very much, but I've definitely seen on social media, scrolling on Instagram Reels, I'll see these influencers oh, I'm going sober for my health and wellness journey, and all the comments are I'm on the same boat, I've been doing it for 2 months, it's been awesome. And even just seeing that for myself, I'm that sounds honestly a better lifestyle, livelihood. But yeah, definitely I feel those who are into their health and wellness are definitely the ones who are more conscious about consuming substances
when and how much they might use. Yeah.
I'll add too, since I do our social media, I, use our TikTok, and I like to kind of make sure our algorithm fits with the communities we're trying to reach. So I'm always interacting with like the recovery community on TikTok, or people who are like on the path to recovery. And there's so many people, like I think there's just such like a big community of people that either one, like maybe they just, realized they needed like to go to treatment and they're now in recovery, or there's also like that group of people that are just doing it for health. But like there's so many people, and it's kind of cool to see when I'm scrolling, just like you would never maybe meet those people in real life, but they all have good reasoning for it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of neat, to see a shift. And I don't think that it's that there's more people in recovery or more people necessarily choosing not to use even if they're not in recovery, but that it's become more, I guess, socially accepted, that social norm has even shifted, that it's okay to say, and it's okay to talk about, and it's okay to, whether you're in recovery or not in recovery, to be able to kind of really put that out there, where for so many years it was so stigmatized that people just felt like they couldn't even have that conversation.
Definitely.
So I'm glad to see some of that changing too. So Abby, tell us about working in a bar in a college town. What is that like? Is it like chaos or?
Oh, it's chaos for sure. I would say it's like, it definitely obviously encourages alcohol consumption. Like we're not really concerned about people's well-beings. We're concerned about money, I would say, like how most businesses function. It's definitely like the deals that draw people in. Even just like working there, like you can get people in for free, and like you can get in for free. Like it's all about like who you know, and I just feel like it's a definitely toxic environment in a way. But yeah, I've definitely seen some situations. There's been lots of instances I've heard about with just like bouncers kicking people out because they're like blacked out even. Sometimes it's hard because I'm a server, and like I'll see someone who's like definitely like intoxicated and like they're trying to get another drink, and I'm like, where do I draw the line of saying no and like sending them home, or like letting them have another,
Right.
So that's been hard sometimes, but it's definitely been an experience for sure.
So do you receive training on that, or you
yes,
just okay?
yes.
So you do have some training where you're supposed to kind of know what to look for and when to say I can't serve you anymore. Okay.
We do like an alcohol training, and then we do a separate like food and beverage training. So we're definitely trained, but even that you can just skip through it. Like I know most of the bouncers probably don't read everything on there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Have you ever, been concerned or really worried about somebody that maybe is kicked out because they've had too much, but then what? Like if they don't go with friends, or are they driving, or even if they're walking, like what if they've consumed that much alcohol and they're intoxicated, there's still a lot of risk there.
Yeah, I feel like most of the times there's definitely friends helping them, like who literally might have to like hold them up and like take them home. Or like I've seen instances where like the bouncers will like call Ubers for people if like that really gets to be that case. But yeah, that's definitely like they're already intoxicated, and then like they're going home, but then like what do you do from there?
Right.
Yeah, I know.
And I know as like women too, it's hard to leave a bar and just like trust that your friend will be fine in an Uber.
Yes.
That's something like my friends and I, we never take them by ourselves because, I mean, one, you're intoxicated, but two, like that could just be a potentially dangerous situation. You never know.
You never know.
So yeah, it's good when you do see like bouncers or people that are working somewhere that are like still concerned about the person after they're out of the building, or not just like doing their job because they have to. Because I know there's, been instances where people at other bars maybe will leave and then they don't have someone with them and they're just like walking around blindly.
Injury, assault. I mean, there's lots of things that can happen.
Yeah, especially downtown Columbia. It's not that safe past midnight,
That's true.
Yeah.
So, if this isn't a fair question, that's okay. But, you use the word like a toxic environment. And but you keep working there. So there's got to be something that like keeps you staying. What's the appeal then to keep working there?
Well, like money, I would say.
Money, yeah. For those that didn't see, Audrey just did her rubbing her finger together money sign with her hand over there.
I like my coworkers too, so that helps a lot. Like when we're all there, like sober, it's definitely fun.
Mm-hmm.
It can be, like I do feel bad sometimes, like when I'm just walking around, like I'm definitely invested in the money, and I feel like sometimes that takes control of me. But at the end of the day, most of the times it's just people having fun, and I haven't experienced anything too serious, which is good.
Yes. Right, yeah.
And like you're aware of it too.
Yeah.
You know, it's better you to be working there than like someone who maybe doesn't care as much.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Isn't educated.
So. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you know what you're watching for and you know how to, assist people that might need it, and like you said, thankfully you haven't had any of those situations. So that's very good. One last question before any other final thoughts, but kind of thinking about this kind of journey of like you had some prevention in high school. There was some maybe mention of it in the college life, especially in your freshman year, but then also recognizing like it still exists in the college scene. So what do you think could be done more to help people think about healthy choices related to substances? And I also think about like people that use substances that might hit a point where they're like, this might not be what I need to do, and I might need some help. What do you think can be more happening on the college campuses, or information shared, and how, like with people, to make sure that people just are aware and have that information? I
would say real life, like experienced speakers. With that, I did not
people
phrase
with
that.
lived experience.
Yes, like we had a speaker come in who was like an emergency room operator, and he like explained a story about this woman who had to like get her stomach pumped, and he had like the physical like stomach like
a replica.
A replica, yes. Yeah. And he was like throwing like hot dogs in there, like, and then like he like made it throw up. I don't know. It was this like whole thing, but it was like real, and he explained the whole story with definitely lots of emotion. Like he definitely drew the audience in with like emotion for sure, and we like kind of sat there shell shocked because we were like, wait a minute, like this is real life, like this can get dangerous. And I feel like sometimes we just like overlook that aspect of it, but I feel like the real life scenarios are what really grabs my attention. I feel like pamphlets or like just random like ads wouldn't really do much for me. People are just ignorant and they don't care sometimes, but seeing things happen and realizing that could happen to anyone is honestly
it is that
wicked.
emotion. I mean, we're driven by those emotional connections.
For
And
sure.
Earlier, even when we were talking about like, thankfully you haven't encountered any really horrible experiences, working in the bar. And at the same time, in the back of my head, like it was also there that, well, that's, education and information for people. But then when they're not seeing it happen and they're seeing like, on a regular basis, people are using, and some people excessively using alcohol, and they're fine. Those bad things won't happen, right? Like that kind of becomes the mentality, but making sure that there's also not hopefully in the bar setting and as people are there, but other places and opportunities where people can experience or be made aware of some of those other negative, potential negative consequences.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably biased too because I do our social media, but I do feel like having just like kind of that authenticity that she's talking about, like having those real like people with experience, or just like creating general awareness in ways that are organic to people, because like I think Prevent+Ed does a really good job when we go into schools and everything, but you still have the students that are there like, oh, it's just another day at school, like I don't want to listen to this. So it's good to find them at like other touch points where maybe like you see someone on your For You page talking about how they chose to stop drinking, and like you can relate to them because they're someone your age, and it's like not being forced on you in like a classroom setting. So I think it's good to have like lots of different areas where you're teaching people about that.
Absolutely. And I think, this topic and this type of information is also still so stigmatized or so kind of blocked because people are like, yeah, I don't need it, or they don't want to hear it or want to know the information until they need to. And so having it available kind of in multiple places and avenues that way make it so that when someone is ready for it, it's there. So they're not, because you're not going to go search for it a lot of times either.
Definitely.
Well, any other like final thoughts of life as Gen Zers in this world and alcohol and substances?
I don't know. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see, like, because I'm one of like the older Gen Zs, so I think it'll be interesting just to see how this wave of like prevention education kind of continues to impact, especially with like Gen Alphas now getting a bit older and they have lots of different experiences. Maybe that will impact. So yeah, it'll be interesting for sure.
I feel like definitely we touched on the like health and wellness, the rise of that. I feel like that's definitely on the come up more, and I feel like that definitely is going to lead into like a more hopeful future for alcohol prevention. Yeah, even myself, I'm definitely inspired by that kind of sector. Yeah. So I could see other people like following those footsteps as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you both so much for joining us today on The PrevenTable. Thanks to Hubbard for always allowing us to use their space for their recording. We appreciate that partnership and support. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The PrevenTable. If you'd like to hear more, please subscribe or like us on any of your favorite podcast channels. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks for joining us at The PrevenTable, brought to you ad-free by Prevent+Ed. Prevent+Ed works to reduce or prevent the harms of alcohol and other drug use through education, intervention, and advocacy. Please visit their website at PreventEd.org. Like what you heard? Rate, review, and subscribe to stay up to date with what we are serving on The PrevenTable.